Welcome back to The Clean Truth by Ruby. I should also mention to you that this is our 41st episode titled One Bundle, Zero Hassle, Building a Grease-Free Air Fryer Routine. And right now, sitting on your kitchen counter is probably a machine you absolutely love.
Oh, yeah. We all love them.
Right. You probably use it every single day, but inside, if we're, being completely honest with ourselves, it is quietly building this layer of basically impenetrable plastic out of your old bacon fat and leftover garlic pizza.
It is the dark secret of the modern kitchen. I mean, we buy these devices for their speed and convenience,
Yeah.
right? But we completely ignore the microscopic chemistry experiment that's happening in the basket every time we turn them on.
It's the ultimate paradox of the air fryer. They are absolute culinary game changers. You get the appliance, you enter that honeymoon phase, and suddenly you are rendering down greasy bacon, crisping up wings, and, tossing in everything bagels just to see what happens.
Because you can.
Exactly. But because it cooks so fast, we treat it almost like a microwave. We just pull the food out, shut the drawer, and walk away. But keeping an air fryer clean shouldn't mean waiting until that food residue becomes this major, intimidating problem that ruins your weekend. The easier, smarter approach is creating a simple, consistent cleaning routine.
Yeah, and to figure out exactly what that routine should look like, we're going to dive into some really rigorous testing from an article over at The Kitchen.
A very brave writer over there.
Truly. One of their writers spent a week and a half pushing her air fryer to the absolute limit. She cooked all those notoriously messy foods you just mentioned, and then systematically tested 5 different cleaning methods on the resulting messes.
Which is so helpful.
Right, so our mission for this deep dive today is to extract the findings from her chemical trials so you can, design a friction-free cleaning routine that actually fits into your life.
And before we get into the exact chemicals she used, I want to frame this with an analogy for you. Think of your air fryer like a home gym.
Oh, I like this.
Right. When you first set up that stationary bike, it's an amazing tool. You feel great using it. But if you let the sweat and the grime build up on the handlebars day after day, week after week,
It gets gross.
it gets so gross. And eventually, you stop wanting to go near it. You look at the bike, feel this wave of disgust, and decide to sit on the couch instead. The stationary bike hasn't lost its utility. The lack of maintenance has just created this massive psychological barrier.
That is a perfect parallel. You start actively avoiding the machine because the friction of dealing with the mess outweighs the reward of the meal. But to break down that psychological barrier, we actually have to start by breaking down the physical mess.
We have to know what we're fighting.
Exactly. We have to understand the science of what is happening inside that basket.
Right, because it's not just a monolith of generic dirt. We're dealing with different materials entirely. When you slide that drawer open after a week of heavy cooking, what is the actual anatomy of the grime we're looking at?
So it generally exists in 3 distinct layers. And the reason people fail at cleaning their air fryers is that they try to use one single method for all 3.
Okay, so what's layer 1?
The first layer is loose surface oil. This is the liquid fat that is literally just rendered out of your chicken wings. It is relatively fresh, still mostly liquid, and it hasn't chemically altered yet.
Makes sense.
Then the second layer is particulate matter, basically the physical crumbs from your pastries or the breading from a chicken nugget that have fallen into the grate.
Okay, loose oil and crumbs. That sounds pretty manageable. You can basically wipe that out with a paper towel if you catch it early enough. But what's the third layer?
Yeah, the third layer is the final boss. It is deeply cooked on, carbonized food, and polymerized oil.
Polymerized.
Yes. So when you leave loose liquid oil in an air fryer and then turn it on the next day to 400 degrees, you are subjecting that fat to intense circulating heat. At a molecular level, the heat causes the fatty acids in the oil to break their double bonds and cross-link with each other. They literally brine together to form a hard, plastic-like polymer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's the exact same chemical process you use to season a cast iron skillet to make it non-stick.
Wait, so by not cleaning out the loose oil, we're accidentally seasoning our air fryer baskets with a permanent layer of rancid bacon grease.
Precisely. You are manufacturing a sticky structural resin. And general cleaning advice dictates that you absolutely cannot treat freshly spilled liquid oil the same way you treat a cross-linked polymer. They require entirely different chemical approaches.
Well, that brings us straight to the first phase of the test from the kitchen article, which is the steam methods. Because the theory here is pretty common on the internet. Let heat and moisture do the heavy lifting to loosen the grime before you even pick up a sponge.
Right. And the author tested 2 different steam protocols to see if they could tackle these distinct layers of grime. The first was a vinegar and lemon juice steam.
Okay, how did that work?
The protocol was to put a quarter cup of white vinegar and the juice of half a lemon into an oven-safe ceramic ramekin. You heat that at 400 degrees for 5 minutes, and then just let it sit in the closed basket for a full half hour to let the steam work its magic.
I have to stop you there and do the math on this. 5 minutes of heating, 30 minutes of sitting in its own humidity, plus the prep time of juicing lemons and finding an oven-safe ramekin. That took her, what, 42 minutes total?
About that, yeah.
Is a 42-minute steam really a cleaning method, or are we just giving our kitchen appliance an overly long, citrus-scented spa treatment?
It's a completely fair critique, and it's honestly why it only earned a 3 out of 5 rating in her test. Now, objectively speaking, the article noted it was very good at one specific thing, which is loosening the fresh grease and oil.
Layer 1.
Exactly. And the lemon scent was incredibly effective at neutralizing heavy, lingering odors. Like if you just cook salmon, this knocks the smell right out. But here's the critical failure. It completely failed at removing the stuck-on, polymerized food.
Because the steam is just hot, slightly acidic water. It doesn't have the chemical muscle to break those plastic-like polymer bonds we just talked about.
Exactly. The acetic acid in vinegar is relatively weak. It might make the kitchen smell better, but it's not breaking down a seasoned resin. Now, contrast that lengthy spa treatment with the second steam method she tested, which was the Dawn dish soap steam.
See, this one sounds much more practical for someone trying to clean up after dinner.
It is entirely different in execution. You simply fill the basket with water, add a few drops of Dawn dish soap, turn the air fryer on for 2 minutes to generate heat, and then rinse it out.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah, the whole process took 5 minutes total. And she rated this a 4 out of 5. It was surprisingly effective at cutting through the fresh grease without requiring any manual scrubbing.
Just water, heat, and a few drops of dish soap outperform the 42-minute vinegar concoction. Why is that? Like, what is the dish soap doing that the acid isn't?
It all comes down to surfactants. Dish soap is packed with surfactant molecules. You can think of a surfactant molecule like a microscopic tadpole.
A tadpole. Okay, I'm with you.
So the head of the molecule is hydrophilic, meaning it loves water. The tail is hydrophobic, meaning it hates water, but absolutely loves fat and grease.
Ah, I see.
When you introduce heat, these molecules move incredibly fast. The tails embed themselves into the loose oil, and the heads pull toward the water. It literally rips the oil off the surface of the basket and suspends it in the water so it can be poured down the drain.
So it's essentially creating this molecular tug of war, and the water wins.
Exactly.
That gives us a really important takeaway for your daily routine. Short, soapy steams are excellent for quick, low-friction daily maintenance. They encapsulate that loose surface oil before it has a chance to undergo polymerization. You are preventing the plastic-like resin from ever forming in the first place.
But, and this is a crucial distinction, even the heated surfactants aren't enough once the mistake has already been made.
If it's already baked on, you mean?
Right. If you are dealing with the baked-on remnants of yesterday's sticky pastries or, the burnt sesame seeds from an everything bagel that have totally fused to the grate, steam and soap will fail.
Right, because at that point, you aren't fighting loose oil. You are fighting chemistry. When the organic matter is physically and chemically fused to the metal, we have to escalate. We have to move from this concept of daily maintenance to deeper periodic cleaning.
And that takes us directly into the scrub and soak methods tested by the author. When you are dealing with carbonized organic matter, you need something that can break chemical bonds and provide actual physical lifting power.
So what did she try first for the deep clean?
The first deep clean approach she tried was a baking soda and lemon paste. The method was mixing 2 tablespoons of baking soda with lemon juice and a little hot water, pouring it into the basket and scrubbing it with a soft toothbrush.
Okay, time-wise, how was that?
Time-wise, this was great. It only took 3 minutes, but she only scored it a 3 out of 5.
Wait, really? Why did it score so low if she was actually getting in there and physically scrubbing?
Well, this is where we have to bust a massive internet cleaning myth. Let's look at the chemistry of what she just mixed. Baking soda is a fantastic, gentle, alkaline abrasive.
It's got that grit.
Yeah, it provides physical grit that is softer than the non-stick coating of your air fryer so it won't scratch it. The author noted that the grit successfully scraped off the very top layer of loose food, but the mixture failed completely on the old, dark, foundational grime.
Is that because she mixed it with lemon juice?
Yes. Lemon juice is citric acid. Baking soda is a base. When you mix an acid and a base, they undergo a chemical reaction that violently releases carbon dioxide. That's the fizzing you see.
Right, the classic volcano science fair project.
Exactly. But what are you left with after the fizzing stops? You've neutralized the acid and you've neutralized the base. You are essentially left with water and a little bit of sodium citrate salt.
Wait, so every time someone on social media mixes baking soda and an acid to make a quote-unquote powerful cleaning paste, they're literally just making expensive, fizzy salt water.
That is exactly what they are doing. They're chemically disarming their own cleaning agents. The paste lacked the chemical muscle to break down the polymerized fat because the active alkaline properties of the baking soda were completely destroyed by the lemon juice.
That is fascinating. The fizz looks really productive, but it's totally useless, which perfectly explains her next test, the Dawn baking soda and vinegar soak,
Right.
because this one took her about 12 minutes total and earned a solid 4 out of 5. She scored a dish soak around the basket, added 2 tablespoons of baking soda, poured in hot water, and then added 2 tablespoons of white vinegar.
And once again, she created that exact same neutralization reaction. The acid in the vinegar and the alkaline baking soda canceled each other out.
So why did it score a 4 out of 5 if the chemistry is flawed?
2 reasons. First, she included the Dawn dish soap, so she had heavy-duty surfactants doing the actual degreasing work.
The tadpoles to the rescue.
Exactly. Second, the rapid release of carbon dioxide gas, the bubbles from the chemical reaction provided temporary mechanical lifting power.
The bubbles literally pushed the loosened food debris upward. However, the author explicitly noted that despite the soak, it still required significant elbow grease with a sponge daddy to actually get the basket clean.
So the bubbles help lift and the soap helps degrease, but you are still stuck playing mad scientist.
Yes.
You're mixing 3 different liquids and powders, waiting 10 minutes, and then you still have to do heavy manual labor.
Which brings us to the champion.
Yes. The undisputed 5 out of 5 winner of her entire week-and-a-half testing gauntlet.
This was the absolute revelation of the article. The winning method is a paste made of 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, and 2 sprays of Dawn Power Wash.
Okay.
You mix it up, apply it directly to the grimy areas, gently clean with a soft toothbrush for about 2 minutes, and rinse with the non-abrasive side of a sponge. Total time from start to finish, 3 minutes.
3 minutes, and she didn't have to scrub until her arm hurt. No heavy scrubbing required. She described it as ridiculously effective. It eliminated all the stuck-on food, the heavy grease, the lingering smells, and, most importantly, that dark, structural, polymerized grime that every other method failed to touch.
That's incredible. I think the best way to understand why this works so flawlessly is to look at it like sending in a highly specialized military strike team rather than just hoping one single superhero can save the day.
I love that analogy.
Right. You have 3 distinct operators working in perfect harmony. First, you have your ground troops. That's the baking soda. But notice she didn't mix it with an acid this time, so it retains its high alkaline pH, acting as a chemical degreaser and a physical abrasive, safely lifting the dirt.
Exactly. The baking soda is allowed to actually do its job.
Then you have your aerial support, the hydrogen peroxide. Now, peroxide is an oxidizer, right? How is that breaking down the grime?
So hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. It is basically water with an extra highly unstable oxygen atom attached to it. It desperately wants to shed that extra atom.
Okay, so what happens when it does?
When it comes into contact with organic matter, like your carbonized grease, it violently rips electrons away from the stain molecules. This oxidation process literally shatters the molecular bonds of the fat and physically destroys the cell walls of the bacteria, causing the odors. It is bleaching and breaking the grime at a microscopic level.
So the ground troops are lifting, the aerial support is shattering the chemical bonds, and then you have your breach specialist, the Dawn Power Wash. This isn't just regular soap. It contains alcohol and heavy-duty surfactants to instantly dissolve the broken fat bonds and suspend them so they can be rinsed away.
It is a chemical masterpiece.
Yeah.
You are attacking the polymer mechanically, oxidatively, and with heavy surfactants all at the exact same time without neutralizing any of your ingredients. That is why it only takes 3 minutes to achieve what a 42-minute steam couldn't even touch.
But you know, this brings up a massive behavioral problem. This 3-minute method proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that having the exact right combination of cleaning agents makes all the difference. But let's be real about human nature. Are you really going to play chemist every single Tuesday night? Like, you finish your dinner, you're tired, and now you have to raid your baking pantry for the soda, dig under the kitchen sink for the power wash, and then walk all the way to your bathroom medicine cabinet to hunt down the hydrogen peroxide.
You won't do it. You just won't. Behavioral psychology tells us that friction is the absolute enemy of a consistent habit. Every extra step, every extra room you have to walk into to gather supplies introduces decision fatigue.
Exactly. If the setup takes longer than the chore doesn't get done. The power of a habit loop relies entirely on ease of execution. We know that tackling grease regularly with those quick 5-minute soapy steams, punctuated by an occasional deep clean, is vastly easier than letting the oil turn into plastic. But if the tools aren't readily available, that psychological barrier goes right back up.
Which is exactly why the concept of bundling is so powerful in behavioral design. If you want to build a friction-free routine, you have to position your tools for success. Your environment has to dictate your behavior.
And this is where we look at the Ruby Air Fryer Cleaning Bundle. It is the physical embodiment of solving this exact behavioral problem. Instead of hunting down separate household ingredients across 3 different rooms of your house, the bundle takes the specific cleaning solutions needed for both the quick, regular wiping and the deeper, periodic cleaning and puts them together into one cohesive system.
And let's be incredibly clear here, because this isn't about making wild claims. We aren't saying that Ruby has magically invented stronger secret chemicals that defy physics. The chemistry of alkaline abrasives and oxidizers works. It's scientifically sound.
Right.
The magic of a dedicated system isn't in some top-secret formulation. I mean, the magic is entirely in the reduction of friction.
Yeah.
It completely removes the decision fatigue from the equation.
It's pure choice architecture. It completely aligns with Ruby's broader philosophy, which is that effective appliance cleaning shouldn't be a test of your willpower. It should be simple enough to become an automatic habit rather than an annoying, dreaded chore that you endlessly postpone.
Yeah, totally.
When the bundle is sitting right there, next to the air fryer, the barrier to entry drops to 0. You finish cooking your glazed chicken wings. You look at the mess. You don't have to sigh and mentally calculate the energy required to fetch 5 different items. You just grab the bundle, execute the clean, and you are done.
It takes that specialized strike team you described and puts them all in the exact same barracks, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. You still differentiate your quick, daily cleans from your deep restorative cleans, but the tools for both are unified in one place.
So let's quickly recap the core message for you as you're listening today, perhaps eyeing your own slightly neglected air fryer on the counter. First, understand the anatomy of your grime. You have to distinguish between your quick cleans, which deal with loose surface oils and can be handled effortlessly with hot water and surfactants, and your deep cleans, which require the mechanical and chemical power of oxidizers and bases to shatter baked-on polymer bonds.
And please, do not mix baking soda and vinegar expecting a miracle.
Exactly. Save the fizz for your drinks. Second, and most importantly from a behavioral standpoint, group your tools together. Whether you are utilizing a dedicated system like the Ruby bundle, or you are just building your own specific caddy to keep under the sink, bundle your specific tools to completely remove the mental block of setup time. Let's build an air fryer cleaning routine that keeps grease under control without turning cleanup into a project every time you cook.
And I'll leave you with a final thought to ponder today. If merely grouping the right tools together fundamentally changes your relationship with a greasy appliance, making it a joy to use rather than a guilt-inducing burden, what other dreaded chores in your home or your life are you actively avoiding simply because your tools aren't bundled together conveniently? Could reducing that initial setup time be the actual secret to effortlessly maintaining your whole home?
I love that. Think about the home gym we talked about at the beginning. Maybe the reason you aren't using the treadmill isn't because you inherently hate running, but because your running shoes, your water bottle, and your headphones are currently sitting in 3 different rooms. Eliminate the friction, bundle your tools, and watch the habits naturally form.